Star Wars is in trouble. Kind of. Let's get into it. Now let's clear one thing up. I like Star Wars. A lot. I really enjoy it. And I feel like I need to say that because some of you are gonna be so astounded by how much shade I'm throwing, you're gonna think I don't like Star Wars. And that's simply not the truth. I just like Star Wars when it's good. And that goes for most of the stuff they put out. And I say most, like 50-50 actually, because I was doing most of air quotes, but that's not true at all. I mean, when Star Wars is good, it's amazing. I mean, as an example, Clone Wars. I know people have been turned up because they think it's a baby show. And although it was made for kids, it doesn't mean that everyone can't enjoy it. Its target audience was kids, which is mind baffling at sometimes because there's even parts where I'm like, damn, this show got really dark really fast. But no, it's mostly a kid show. I enjoy it a lot. You'll probably enjoy it if you watch it. But that saying, there's a lot of Star Wars content that is straight up bad. We're not even gonna talk about the OGs because those are just brilliant and they're gonna be good because it's a story. But let's talk about the sequels. So we know who directed them. J.J. Abrams and Ryan Johnson. And I don't know why Disney thought about it like this, but they thought, hey, during our trilogy of three movies, let's have two different people who have two creative standpoints that differ from each other direct the same ongoing story. And that's just where it falls apart. Force Awakens, it was good. I enjoyed Force Awakens and I thought it was pretty good. But then Last Jedi appears, and Last Jedi doesn't make any sense from a storytelling standpoint. It screws up all of the arc. It kills the main villain, Snoke. You kill the secondary villain, Phasma. So now, what's Finn's purpose in life? I don't know, because everyone thought he was gonna hook up with Rey, which is just not true. Doesn't happen at any point. And then, when Snoke's gone, you're like, oh, he's gone. So I guess who's the real villain here at this point? Because everyone knew Kylo Ren was a villain, but he's also not a villain. He's a good guy, which is also that's fine. But Last Jedi really screws up Rise of Skywalker, and I'll get to that later. But I'm still not done ranting about Last Jedi. Like I said, Force Awakens, I'm fine with that movie. I thought it leads up very interestingly. But where Last Jedi really falls apart is in a lot of places. So, I mean, we have Luke Skywalker, and he's an old man who is just a hermit. He's a hermit basically. And it wouldn't be my first pick because I don't think people necessarily enjoy seeing their childhood hero pretty much being a drunk old man who completely throws out all of the morals he lived by. But hey, I'm not the one making this movie. I'm just the one complaining about it. And going off that, it's crazy how this is, I think, the first time in Star Wars, and I'm talking about in Last Jedi in particular right now, that we see powers that we haven't seen. And I'm not opposed to seeing new powers. I'm opposed to them contradicting the past story that has been completely untouched and good. That's where it falls apart. So, Last Jedi, it doesn't get too crazy. Luke does this force projection to save everyone, which I thought it was a good move because it was our hero basically going back to his ways, and he's like, "Well, I'm not gonna take down the whole army in front of me. I'm gonna sacrifice and give everyone hope," which is going back to the first movie, A New Hope. That's what I took out of it, anyways. But it's mostly where Last Jedi puts Rise of Skywalker that screws up this whole three movie trilogy. I mean, it makes no sense that they would, like I said, kill off the main villains before there's really any character development or anything that important about them, honestly. And then it really screws up Last Jedi. They gotta think. So, they gotta think of how they're gonna bring back the new villain. It's too late to introduce a new villain because it doesn't work like that. So then Ryan Johnson thinks his most logical option is to bring back Palpatine, which also contradicts the old story. I mean, yeah, Palpatine was already playing around with immortality, which is really what he was doing. He was already doing it in Revenge of the Sith and before that with Plagueis. So, it makes sense, but it also is like, can the dude ever really die now? Will we ever get a new Star Wars villain? And then, I'm not even going to talk about the part where it really contradicts the old story, but I'm going to talk about this part that I just thought was plain stupid. If Kylo Ren and Hux are both good guys, what is the First Order then? Who are they? Who are they actually in command of? Because the two people in charge of the First Order are actually good guys, and the Snoke from before is dead. So who's the First Order actually fighting for at this point? I mean, it's beyond me. I don't really know. But then they have this big bad villain, Palpatine, and he's Palpatine. He's evil. He shoots laser beams, and apparently he doesn't ever die. So, by having this happen, it completely contradicts, in my opinion, the original story of Anakin being the chosen one. If Palpatine's alive, Anakin didn't do anything to the Force except for kill a bunch of Jedi and then sacrifice himself because he thought he was doing the good thing, but he just was doing nothing. It's pointless. So, why does it contradict the whole old story? And I mean, that's just with the big story element part of it. I mean, if you didn't have Anakin, who was labeled the chosen one for the first 6 movies, since day one, everyone's like, yeah, he brought balance to the Force. He killed Palpatine, the ultimate evil. But then I'm like, yeah, he did do that. He did do that. And then you think of the new movies, and you just have that all completely thrown out the window. Anakin did nothing at this point. I mean, he went to the good side. It's still good. He's still a good character. I'm just saying his label of being the chosen one, which clearly they wanted us to follow, is completely irrelevant because he didn't do anything except for kill a bunch of Jedi, which honestly then just throws the Force out of balance, and you think that Palpatine's dead, and you're like, okay, it's in balance now. But then he's actually alive this whole time, and it just completely contradicts the old story that everyone was a fan of. And that's just one element of it. I mean, I'm gonna start talking about how dumb healing is. If healing's a thing, what's the point of death? Because we already have seen Palpatine with immortality, so I don't even know if he's dead at this point. And healing's a thing, so who's actually ever gonna die? And you couldn't be like, yeah, well, Kylo and Rey had a Force connection, so they actually can heal each other. And I'm like, okay, fine, fair enough. You got me there. Except Mandalorian, Baby Yoda, Grogu, heals Grief Karga. Fine. There's like no Force connection there. So technically anyone can be healed. What? This contradicts the whole story put before it. I mean, Qui-Gon could have been healed. Anakin could have been healed by Luke. So it's like, a lot of these main characters' deaths are just irrelevant now that we know that they could have been healed this whole time. So, I mean, that's personally one of my beefs with the whole movie. And the whole story as a whole. Because I think Disney is starting to care less and less about the actual content they're putting out. And by labeling it just, oh, it's a big sci-fi movie, man. We don't care about the story at this point. It's a big sci-fi movie. We got the villain, who everyone thought was dead, back, so he actually doesn't die. And then the old villain, Snoke, is actually just Palpatine. So it really starts to fall apart. Just the whole thing. But I will say, it's an amazing cash grab. Because you got the whole fandom wanting to see this movie. Because you bring back Palpatine. OGs are like, yeah. Prequels are like, yeah. Then you name it Rise of Skywalker. So everyone's like, oh my god, Anakin's gonna come back. Luke's gonna come back. And they're gonna fight Palpatine, father and son, like the chosen one's supposed to do. But no. And fine. Just fine. I mean, Star Wars is in trouble. Because if we see this in the future, fans are just gonna get more and more mad. Because they're gonna feel like Disney doesn't care about them. And isn't trying to tell a cohesive deep meaning story. They're literally just trying to grab their money. And hey, props to Disney. They're making bank. So, they can do whatever they want. They don't have to listen to some kid on the internet telling them that they're a bunch of that they can't make a good story, because like I said, they're making tons of money. But thankfully, Star Wars has a chance of redemption, or not even of redemption, but has a chance of hope, a new hope basically. I mean, if we look at the series, they've been pretty well received, by me included. I mean, Clone Wars Season 7 was some of the best Clone Wars we've even seen, and that was even when it was ran by George Lucas and Dave Filoni. It was even like on that kind of level of good, especially the final arc. And Mandalorian has been pretty well received. Bad Batch is only 3 episodes so far, but it's been pretty well received, all of it. So this is where they just have to continue with telling a good, cohesive story. That's all they have to do. They shouldn't play with any more Force Heal, because that just seems to make fans more and more mad. And I mean, they can do what they want. But me personally, stick with a good, cohesive story that doesn't contradict the old one. Just should leave the past alone. Leave the past legacy untouched. Just focus on the future. Don't contradict yourself. And it should be good, because right now, the stories that they're telling, which are already like micro stories and other stories, that's what Bad Batch is, that's what Mandalorian is. It's not the overall arcing universe story. It's smaller stories that of characters that everyone seems to like, and that have done pretty well so far. And the series, like I said, have been really good. So if they can just do what they're doing in the series and throw it in the movie, they should be fine. I mean, that's really all, guys. Just my quick little Star Wars rant that went on for 12 minutes. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Comment down below what videos you want me to make in the future, and bye!